Oh, cool, we're live. Hi, everybody. I'm Lisa. Thank you for stopping by. I love hearing how you're enjoying these nightcaps, so please keep the comments coming. You can type the comments out if you love what you're seeing, if you have any feedback coming up of anything you'd like to see or people you'd like to meet, and also, of course, for the questions for my guests tonight. Please don't be shy. Comment. We love it. This is not the same as seeing you in the lobby after the show, but it's been very, very special connecting with our guests and also knowing that you're out there watching. So thank you. Welcome to Lisa's Nightcap. So I'm going to start by admitting that I am very over this whole quarantine thing. My closets are very clean. I'm getting way too close with my new best friend, the Dirt Devil, and thankfully getting better at 6th grade math. But to add to that, another blow in our industry today with the Stratford Festival announcing their season cancellation. Now, we may not be surprised, but it still stings a lot. And we think of the impact this has had on so many and all of the great theater we're never going to get to see. And once again, we ask, can this really be happening? Monday, it's day, I don't know, we're in the 40s already, but it's 9 p.m. and right now it's time to shake it all off, turn off the news, feel good, feel grateful, and remember, as it was said so magically last night during the Sondheim birthday special, that we're still here. So I say cheers to that. And tonight I'm going to chat with some amazing artists who, if not for COVID-19, would be working on their shows right now out of New York. And I would not know any of them if it were not for the Segal Center. And their talent has touched you and has been a part of what you've loved over the last 5 years. So for my first guest, I do have to share this little awkward story, which is very appropriate considering what happened with the Sondheim special. And for all my friends who are waiting in the green room right now, you're gonna laugh. But needless to say, I was very excited to chat with producer Daryl Roth. Daryl is the woman behind many successful Broadway musicals. He chooses to work on meaningful and transformative pieces such as Gloria, Wiesenthal, Caroline or Change, How I Learned to Drive, and more. She's such a classy lady. I've learned so much from her every single time we connect. So we actually pre-recorded a 15-minute conversation using FaceTime. I mean, we were both like, we got this. She uses FaceTime with her grandchildren. I use it for everything. And I can tell you it was a great conversation, except that I had the mic off for the entire thing. So I have proof that we talked, and I know that you're sad right now because you really wanted to hear from Daryl Roth. So I will share some of the things that stuck with me from our conversation. So. Okay, you got it. There's proof that we talked. Okay, this is what I remember. The cliff notes of my conversation with Daryl Roth, that her heart is really reaching out to not-for-profit theaters like the Segal Center, because this is where she develops many of her musicals and plays that eventually make it to Broadway. She knows that we're hurting, and I could just feel like, it was nice to hear from a commercial producer how connected she feels to regionals and not-for-profit. So that was very special. I asked her post-pandemic if what shows she might be more interested in, or if her decisions will change now. And she said that she's looking to bring a lot of joy to the world, and that after this pandemic, we're going to look for shows that spread a lot of joy. Daryl, for those who may not know, made it possible for the Segal Center to produce Indecent, which is her baby. And we were in touch about it before the rights were made available to anyone else. If you don't remember, this was a show that recounts the controversy surrounding the Yiddish play God of Vengeance by Sholem Asch. And at the heart of it is really a compelling case for why art matters. We talked about Indecent a lot and the underlying message of art and how relevant it would be today and how we miss this beauty and the power of shows like Indecent. We also talked about a new musical she's developing called Between the Lines. Believe it or not, yes, it took me almost a day, but I went to Kansas City. This is a show written based on the best-selling author Jodi Picoult and her daughter, about a young woman who finds comfort in the pages of her favorite book. And it was really, this is a show that was supposed to go into previews in May, but it was really nice to hear that Daryl can't wait for us to come out of this and to bring it back. And we both agreed that this is going to be one of the shows that will touch our hearts and make us feel really good about humanity on the other side of this. I, for one, can't wait to see it. And so hopefully we'll be hearing more about Between the Lines when this is all over. So it was really great. I'm really, really sorry I can't share it with you. But I have some really wonderful people waiting backstage to join us live. And my first guest is also no stranger to new musicals. He writes them, he directs them, and he sometimes writes them and directs them at the same time. This is Gordon Greenberg. Let's bring Gordon on. Hey!
Hey! How are you?
Yay!
I'm so happy to see you. You look fantastic.
Oh, thank you.
Quarantine agrees with you.
You know, yeah, it's also the camera's very forgiving, this camera.
You just you let the hair grow out and, you know.
Cut my own bangs. So I just want to make sure everybody knows that Gordon directed the Segal Center's production of The Angel and the Sparrow, which went on to be Mirvish's most successful, I think, CAA subscription production they've ever had. Went on for 3 months. And as Piaf Dietrich, we have photos from the Segal Center production, Gordon, but if anyone wants to check out the Mirvish one, they can visit their website.
No, the Segal Center production was gorgeous and an amazing opportunity to recreate that whole show. Just think about what a tremendous process that was, taking something built for Germany and Austria and reimagining it as something for North American audiences. And I have to say, I mean, I'm not just saying this because you're interviewing me, but it was all you. I mean, you're the one who knew how to put this whole thing together and made everyone, hi Francois, and made everybody sort of work well in collaboration, because we were all speaking very different languages at the beginning. And by the end, we become close friends. And in fact, Thomas Carey and I are working on another project together. And that's all because of you, because you put it together and made it a loving, generous experience.
Oh, well, it's a little bit of you and our great team. You had a blast working in French, Gordon.
Well, yes. I used to think I spoke French. Actually, Jill Abramovitz, who's up next, and we've worked on many shows together, but we like to pretend that we speak French fluently. And there's even this is for Jill later, but there's a snack shop in New York called Guy and Gallard, but we always call it Guy et Gaillard. And nobody understands it when we say that. But I did think I had a decent command of it until I got there and I realized I don't know how to say wing. I don't know. Now I do. Coulis. I don't know how to say footlights. You know, feu de rampe. Now I know that.
Whoa!
So it definitely was a big leap forward for me, and it brought me a lot of joy to be able to work with a Quebecois team, and especially, you know, my pal Louise Bourret, who does the costume so beautifully. She's got insane style and a great joie de vivre. That term was invented for her. So for any subscribers who are around who are listening to this, do yourself a favor and come during previews and look in the back for a woman with a beautiful, fully laid out table, a meal, wine, great style, probably a coat with some fur. And that'll be Louise Bourret taking notes and making the show more beautiful.
Yes, she brings great fashion, and she likes to say to all of our productions.
It's true. And our show was perfect for that because it's all about glamour, certainly for half of the show. And that's what Dietrich was. We used to say it was like putting Madonna next to Amy Winehouse. So you had on one hand a person who was all, yay, Louise, was all about style and image and outward appearance. And then the other woman who was all about the internal, and wore her heart on her sleeve, but quite literally just wore black dresses, because she didn't want anything to sort of disrupt what was flowing straight from her heart. And we were lucky to have Louise to turn the fabulous Carly into this amazing fashion plate. And Carly Street is also a phenomenal actor, who we were so lucky to have. And the whole experience was just wonderful. Not the least of which, hi, Louise. I can't believe you're here. T'es ici. Live en montagne.
Gordon, what would you say is like if you had to name a difference between working in the States and working in Canada, what would it be? Like when you have to come back to Canada, like what would you say is different about us?
I will say, I mean, I do think it was certainly a more European experience, and that was largely because so many of the creative team that we used were French Canadian, which was quite different than working in Toronto last year. Because I would say the experience in Toronto was much closer to New York American experience, whereas the experience in Montreal felt inherently European. I think it was the idea that we had designers with us in rehearsals from the beginning. That would never happen in New York or Toronto because nobody has the time or the attention span, quite frankly. But we had Cloud there from the beginning, our lighting designer, watching and being a co-conspirator, being a dreamer with all of us. And that was really, really fun and unique. I'd heard about it forever. You always hear, oh, in Europe, they sit with you in rehearsals and they rehearse for 75 weeks. And nobody has to do anything but sit around and watch.
Yeah, we're not that lucky. We're not that lucky.
No, I know. But still, we had 2.5 weeks with our whole team. So by the time you get into tech, which tech is where you set all your lighting cues, and it can take anywhere from 3 days to 3 months, depending on the size of the show. But we got in with a great head start because our designers understood what we were going for in the show, and they knew intrinsically that an isolated moment on stage meant white light in one section of the stage and backlight that wanted to be darker and more saturated. And a lot of those questions were already asked and answered. So that was wonderful. Plus the food is much better, I gotta say. Wait, what's the place? Premier Moisson. I love that place. It's my plug for Premier Moisson. It's better than Guy et Gaillard.
Awesome. Gord, did you have anything that got canceled for you, like in the immediate, not next season, but that you were working on or had scheduled?
Well, a couple of things. One, I mean, our show had just opened in Chicago. I have been working for 7 years on an adaptation of the 1987 Michael J. Fox Universal Pictures film, Secret of My Success, about a young man from the Midwest who moves to New York City to make his fortune, and in the process redefines his relationship with his parents and what success means to him. And it was a really phenomenal 7 years, but it was long, and we were excited to finally see it up in Chicago at the beautiful Paramount Theater, and we opened. We got great reviews, and they started to bring people from New York to see it, and then it had to be shut down, and it never even really got to be taped, unfortunately, because everything's happened so quickly. So hopefully we'll return to that. Yes, Sydney Morton. Oh my gosh, I love Sydney Morton so much. She's fabulous. She's on that. What's the name of that show on Netflix? About Madam C.J. Walker. I just forgot. Self-Made. She has a good role on that, but she couldn't be lovelier. This is the woman who played the female lead. Yes, it was a great experience, and now I'm holding on to that feeling and trusting that it will return. And then, of course, Piaf, Dietrich, Angel and Sparrow was all set to go to London, or just about set, and unfortunately that sort of disintegrated with everything else. But I also trust that that will return, because there is a great desire from a couple of very high-profile theaters in London that wanted the show, and thanks to you and everyone at the Segal and the Mervishes, that was rolling on forward. So I trust that that'll happen. I also am the co-artistic director of the Broadway Teachers Workshop, which is a perennial program every summer for theater educators and directors of every stripe that come together for a series of workshops and master classes. And we unfortunately can't hold it in New York this summer, so we're transitioning and putting the whole thing online. So that has been an interesting process, figuring that out. Luckily, the rest of the world is right there with us. So the people we have coming this summer, like Patti LuPone and Alex Timbers and Stephen Schwartz, all, I sort of checked in with them, and they said, we know how it goes. Hi, Tracy. I'm so psyched that you're coming. It's going to be different, but it'll still be fun. In any case, so those have been the things. But I will say this time, possibly because I have been going almost nonstop for 7 months, I have not been home since last year's Broadway Teachers Workshop. And I'm up here in Westchester in the country with my partner, who is a physician, and has been doing half-time telemedicine and half-time going into Mount Sinai, which is a bit of a nail biter. I'm not going to lie, but he has great PPE, and the hospital has taken care of him and made sure that he remains healthy and safe. And I believe that what he's doing is very important, and we've been ultra careful. So that said, I'm very aware of what's going on, and I'm confronting it and talking about it every day, but at the same time, I've made a little cocoon up here in the country. And the show that we're hopefully going to be doing in the fall at the Segal, we have turned into a radio play for Dory Berenstein and the Broadway Podcast Network. It's called Dracula, Comedy of Terrors. Am I allowed to say this?
Yeah, I was going to say that we were, on April 2nd, which would have been our season launch, we would have announced our collaboration with you directing your play, and that, I have, it won't be forgotten about. So,
spoiler alert.
And I hope the same thing for the secret of my success in Piaf Dietrich too, that once everyone just kind of gets back to what they lost, they'll start remembering, I'll start remembering all those great things we had in mind. And
it's true. And I like to think that the plays that I work on have a good amount of life spirit. And I know there's a Yiddish word for it that my grandmother used to say. I forget what it is. Is it Rachmanis?
It's like Sitzfleisch, where Rachmanis is pity.
Oh, so it's not that. That's not the word.
We really this is actually a really good time to bring Jill out, because I know she has some Yiddish in her too. But I don't know. I if you tell me more, I could probably pull it out of myself.
Yeah, it's just like life spirit, and I feel like even a silly play like Dracula has that in it. Also, because we wrote it with the underlying idea. What happened? Are you all right? I'm still here. Hopefully Lisa will be back. And I will continue talking now in case this is live so that you still have something to look at. Oh, there's Lisa saying, "Oi, she's back. She's back."
And so, I think Alex gave us the word ruach, spirit.
Ruach.
Well, that's...
Yes, I saw ruach come up, and I thought that was the oh no. So yeah, these shows are full of joy and full of life spirit, and they're all about the idea that a bit of scarcity at times is what reminds us of our abundance that we have in other times. So that's the best thing that we can pull out of this whole experience. And yes, it is tough. It is definitely tough, but it's all for the best. And in a few months, when this has passed, we will all be so proud of how we behaved and that we averted disaster, God willing.
Yes, amen. I just before we bring Jill out, I thought of you yesterday because I was watching the Sondheim special.
So good.
And I learned everything about Sondheim when I got to Stage Door Manor. I didn't know anything about, I was all about A Chorus Line and Fiddler and, anything goes.
Well, Stage Door is high level.
And I remember
Sondheim is just like the tip of the iceberg.
You have to know about
Garcia Lorca. You have to get deep.
Stage Door is a theater camp that Gordon and I have in common, and it's one of those things. It's like going to university, and you're like very, very proud of where you went. Stage Door has that feeling, even though we didn't go at the same time. But I said to myself, I was like, all these memories of Sondheim coming back and like my education over 3 years. And I was like, I'm going to see Gordon tomorrow, and I'm going to tell him that I thought of him in Stage Door.
I know.
Yesterday.
I've been thinking about that a lot. I really have.
Yeah. Well, to Dracula, which we hope to see soon at the Segal Center. So speaking of shows that I was going to announce next season, another one of those shows was a brand new musical, and it was originally written in Hebrew, and Jill Abramovitz did the English translation of it, which is how we got to meet. And it's just such a wonderful coincidence. I had no idea that you two knew each other before.
Oh gosh, Jill was in one of the first shows I directed in New York, which was called Cam Jansen, written by Larry O'Keefe and Nell Benjamin, just before they wrote Legally Blonde.
I'm tapping my teeth because Cam Jansen taps her teeth.
She did?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't even know that. Is that in the books? Like she's a tooth tapper?
Yeah.
Well, this was all about her photographic memory, and Jill was one of the stars, and I believe one of her first, she came out as like a 70-year-old teacher. Jill was right out of University of Pennsylvania, but already had a comic flair that we could see from a mile away, and it was off Broadway, and it started out as a kid's show, but it had so much cleverness in it and like sass that all of a sudden, like, celebrities were coming to see it just because it was so silly and weird and oddly set in the 1960s, just because I like the 60s, really. And Jill also played a stewardess, flight attendant, sorry, but she could talk about that. Anyway, I'm a big fan of hers.
Good, let's bring her out. Jill's also...
I've been laughing so hard at everything you guys are saying, and I know Gordon so well. Oh gosh. Hi.
Hi. So Jill is a performer and a writer, and we may have seen your work on Beetlejuice on Broadway, on many TV shows, including Marvelous Mrs. Maisel. And as I said, you were also working on the English translation of this new musical that I was set to announce.
Brad, you're in the frame. Brad.
We're trying to upload something. Brad is my husband, who's also, hi, my father-in-law is watching. He is amazing composer who I happen to be married to and live with. And he's also my tech person. And he's trying to upload this video that of Mrs. Maisel, but it's not working.
So how are you doing?
Hi, sorry. Yes.
One of the first things we talked about is what's it like to go from just an 8-show week schedule to like all of a sudden being home at night.
It's crazy. I will say, there's the lovely Jill lighting the menorah. It's only just now starting to sink in that our show, that our beloved Beetlejuice is so hard to answer while I'm seeing these pictures of myself. It's starting to sink in, and I'm starting to be sad. At first, we've been through many phases since first we thought, okay, it's just going to be a month. And then we realized there's absolutely no way this is only going to take a month. And then I got the coronavirus. My husband and I both got it. And so we've spent basically a month with that. And now that we're crawling out of that fog, it's all really hitting us. That it's sad. We're scared, but we're optimistic. We're both shockingly incredibly busy for an unemployed lady. There's a lot going on. It's actually a really fertile time for writing and having lots of writing meetings and coming up with ideas and getting back in touch with people. But as far as my 8-show a week job, I will say this, I've been telling people this story. So we have a 9-year-old son, and he was going through a phase where he was really hating when I left for the theater every night and going, do you have to leave? Do you have to go? And so I came home one day and I said, well, I'm home. I'm home for a month at least. And he looked at the sky and he went, thank you, coronavirus. Sorry about that little interruption before. We're trying to get a clip to you guys, and we're having a little bit of trouble on our end.
No. All good.
Mm-hmm.
So did you think that you would have, like, on your last show, that would have been your last show?
Absolutely not. I remember hearing there was one case in Arizona and there was one case in Illinois, and we actually had gone on vacation to Arizona a few weeks before, but it never occurred to me that, like the wildfire that it was, that we would just be down. And I had called out because I was sick with just regular old being sick, and I missed the last 2 shows, so I didn't even get to have one last hurrah with everybody, but nobody knew they were having a last hurrah.
Right. But you got to go back to your dressing room?
I actually have not. I had to run in to pick up some tax information. And we were supposed to be able to go pick up things from our dressing rooms, but because I've had one negative test for, after I tested positive, waited 2 weeks and then tested negative, but I didn't have a second negative test, so I didn't feel comfortable walking into the building. So it's like a time capsule over there.
Wow.
At least at my station, everything is, if I walk back in, all my makeup brushes and my notes and my gum wrappers, who knows what I'll find.
I often, whenever I used to close a show, I would just take everything of the show and it would just put it in a vault. Do you have this need to go over, it's been a month, right? That you're going to something you're going to forget,
more, I think, at this point.
Circle over your lines.
Yeah, I do. I normally take over. Say this. What did you say? I missed the last thing you said.
Oh no! Just are you obsessively making sure you still remember your track?
No, it'll, if I'm fortunate enough to have the occasion to do it again, we'll be in rehearsal, it'll come back. But as far as I see what you're saying, like a mental vault. I actually put things in a physical vault. I usually take all cards. That's, to me, the most important thing. Any opening night notes, anything that anyone has written or had written to me, I take, and I can't throw it away. And
do you keep every single card, Jill?
I do.
That's
do.
Amazing.
Just cards. They don't take up a ton of room. I have a big Rubbermaid box. And it's really fun to go through it. But I try not to keep tchotchkes, but cards are easy enough to keep.
One day people are going to thank you for that. Mark Sachs, my counselor from Stage Door.
I love Mark.
He has cards.
He's given me some good jobs.
He's a great guy. He's got very good taste. But he has cards that I sent him when I was 13, 14, from like when I was his camper. And he reads them back to me or sends me scans of them. And it's like waterworks. It's so crazy.
Yeah.
But I get nervous holding on to things too long. I'm the opposite. And I take everything, I put it in my brain, and then I say, all right, recycle, move on. I don't know why.
I do that with everything else, but not with the cards. I'm pretty good at getting rid of stuff. I guess we're New Yorkers. We don't have room for stuff, right? You just have to throw everything away. Yeah.
Did you know that Jill got the legacy robe?
I did not. You got that this year?
Can you believe that?
Wait. I keep forgetting the rule. Is it the person who's done the most shows or the
most shows on an ensemble contract?
And that was you.
So it's me. So it's one of these.
You
like,
don't seem like an ensemble member to me. Also,
well, it's one of these. It's such an honor. It's such an honor. But like everyone's clapping for you. It's delightful. It's really moving. I was very moved. And then when I went to Moulin Rouge to pass it to the next person, explain to your audience, Lisa, what the legacy robe is.
Yeah, do it and then we pulled a clip of the moment. So we're going to
okay. So there's basically this robe called the legacy robe, and it has a long history of opening nights dating back to Ethel Merman, and there was a robe that every ensemble woman signed, and then they passed it from theater to theater. And
is that why it was called the gypsy robe? Because
gypsies. No. Oh.
I never thought about that, but anyway.
Well, they used to call the ensemble dancers on Broadway gypsies, and we don't say that anymore. So
yeah, because they traveled, because they were itinerant. They just went from show to show.
Exactly. Yeah. So now it's called the legacy robe, and so anyway, the person who wins it in one show, that show adds a patch to the robe. I mean, it's, my son watched the video and went, is that the same robe from Ethel Merman? I was like, no, I'm sure we've been through like 35 robes at this point, but they add a patch, a decorative patch that has icons and emblems of the show that they're in. And then when the next Broadway show opens, whoever won the robe brings it to the next show and presents it. And so I won for Beetlejuice, and our show is full of like crazy character lunatic people. And then I had to present it at Moulin Rouge, and it's a room full of just hot, gorgeous models. And I just felt like the biggest ding dong. I definitely started to cry, and they were probably like, "What is this thing? What is this character?"
Who won? Who won it? Max Clayton. Who got it?
Badia, dancer, beautiful dancer.
Oh, Badia, yeah.
Badia. Sorry, I mispronounced it. I'm sorry.
That's so great.
Yeah, it was a huge honor. I did not expect it to mean as much as it did, because you go back through your life and you think, oh my gosh, 12-year-old me is going, will I ever be on Broadway? And then 29-year-old me, who won the robe, stop laughing, is thinking, I can't believe I've been in enough Broadway shows to win this honor. I'm connected to this history and this community, and it was very moving, actually, surprisingly moving.
That's a moment I always sort of harken back to with cast, like when you finally get to the place where you're about to open or close to it, and you've been through some challenges along the way, because no show is without that, and it starts to feel like you're in the midst of doing something nearly impossible and terribly important because it has to be, and you lose your perspective, and then everybody takes a moment and remembers the 12-year-old them and how impressed they would be with themselves, and it sends you into this other sort of strata. It's a different way of approaching.
It reminds me of the Olympic torch. It's Peter's version of that, and that's probably, like, I can only imagine. Okay, well, let's play the clip, because I think it was captured.
It is my great pleasure to present the legacy robe for Beetlejuice to Jill
I love that. And of course, Jen Flick gave it to you.
Of course. And Jen Cody was there, and so many great people I've known through the years. You know, every people who have won the robe in the past come back to be a part of the ceremony. And so it's really moving. And also that's right before we opened, which was 1 year ago, Saturday. So we're all excited. Everyone's gathered around. Everyone's dressing rooms are filled with flowers and notes. And it's like you said, Gordon, it's the moment to stop and just be in the moment. It is the greatest. It's wonderful.
It's beautiful. I'll never forget those moments. Even at the Bucks County Playhouse, which is one of the oldest summer stocks, they somehow procured Moss Hart's smoking jacket, which is a robe. I guess maybe his son or grandson gave it to Jed Bernstein, who was running it at the time. And that's what they used for their Gypsy Robe ceremony. And it's beautiful. I think theater is so ephemeral that you have to take those moments and somehow imprint them in your brain so we don't lose it. It's so easy to forget. I mean, I have moments where sometimes, and this is so embarrassing, I need to go online and literally just look up pictures of a show. God bless you. Just to like remember what it felt like, because it doesn't exist.
And yet, wouldn't it be interesting if this whole thing is spinning us into a place where theater is less ephemeral and more online and more recordable? I don't know. I mean, maybe there's some kind of.
You do a lot of film, of TV too, Jill, right? You do.
I do some.
You do Spotlight.
I enjoy it.
But and you have a putting the money aside, okay? Is there, would you rather do the 8 shows a week, or would you rather be on a TV set for a few days?
Oh gosh, can I do both? Is that an answer that you'll accept?
Of course.
I really love doing both. I think both are. You get that 8 show a week family thing is just so, there's that adrenaline that you're connecting to an audience, you're having a real one-to-one experience is glorious. And I also really love the mental game of TV, of having to be as real as possible with cameras and people, 2 inches from your face everywhere you look. I think they're both really fun. I haven't done a ton of TV. I haven't done as much TV as I've done theater, but I really, really enjoy it. And I would love to just do both forever. Hopefully, I'm very optimistic and hopeful about both industries, and certainly theater. I mean, we need a lot of love right now.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. So we before we bring Astrid in, we found a photo of the two of you. And I want to know if you remember the story of this photo.
Oh gosh, yes.
Wait.
NAMT. That was NAMT.
Yeah. Wait, that's Rick Boynton.
Yes, from Chicago Shakes.
Yeah, I love him. That's where we developed Dracula. He's one of the geniuses behind Dracula.
He's lovely. And that was where my show, The Dogs of Pripyat, was at NAMT.
I love that show. I really love that show.
Well, we didn't have the rights for a while, and now we have the rights again. And we, in fact, just had a big concert in March, and we just had Big Sky, the Warren Miller Performing Arts Center in Big Sky, Montana, just did a Zoom presentation where we had live performances and clips from our concert 2 days ago.
Jill, keep me posted on that, because I loved that when I saw it, and I remember seeing it. And Lisa, can I have a copy of that photo? Because I really like it.
Yeah, that's a good photo. Where did you get it?
Google.
I've heard of it.
Wow.
I've heard of it.
Google,
I would never imagine.
After.
You're a good sleuth.
Yeah.
Broadway. It's on BroadwayWorld.com.
GOO. Yeah.
Well, Jill, it's so lovely to see you. I hope we are going to get to work on our musical together.
Yes, that was such a fun process. The most fun. Yeah.
So, and that would have been in the same season as Gordon's show.
Oh man.
No.
We could have gone au restaurant ensemble.
I know, Premier Moisson. It would be so much fun together.
Oh,
yeah,
no.
Gordon will still write his list of recommendations for when you do come. And
good. Thank you so much for having me. This is really fun.
It's amazing, and we want you to stick around. We want you to stick around because
I'm sticking.
we're bringing out Astrid, who's also, on Broadway, like you were. Show was shut down, and so the more the merrier. We need each other.
Yes,
So,
yes.
I know. This is a great reunion. Now Jill and I don't have to schedule our FaceTime drink.
So convenient. Thank
we've
you
had
so much. Oh, you are? Okay, good. I hadn't seen you take a sip yet. I feel better now.
Yeah, I've been going easy. I'm going easy. There's a cat in this house, so, we have to be careful.
Right. Red wine, danger. Yeah. Okay, I'll shut up. Sorry.
No, it's good. So, Astrid originated the role of Beulah in Come From Away, of course. But we have a special place for her because she was also Germaine Lauzon in Les Belles Soeurs, which was one of our new musicals at the Segal Center. There she is, and we've been that photo that I think, Mel, you have it, of Astrid with the stamps is like this is just says how we're feeling, I think, today. It's like,
yeah,
F you, but like, oh my God, we're here and we're strong and we're not going anywhere. And I don't know, I love it. It makes me so happy, and it's going to be so great to reunite with Astrid. Is she here? She's there!
Yay! With chocolate milk.
Hey, you look gorgeous. Oh, but you're on mute. No sound. Okay, she's getting off and coming back in.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah, all good. All better. What?
She was drinking something that looked really interesting.
I think
sort
it
of
was
like
iced
chocolate.
coffee. We should guess. Whoever guesses right should win something. Yeah.
Yeah, what do you think, Tracy? Is it Kahlua and cream? Is it like a Frappuccino or like a frozen hot chocolate from
what I got
73?
so into, Gordon, you'll appreciate this. When I was up at the Mercer Colony at Goodspeed a year ago, I
was there with you. Wasn't I there with you?
Were we there together? It's a write for those who, it's a writing. Goodspeed is an amazing theater. Forget it. I'll shut up.
No, I want to hear about it. Can you hear me out?
We're about Goodspeed.
Yes.
I bought a bottle of chocolate vodka and I drank it every night. It was delicious. That's the end of the story.
Oh, that sounds so good. There's a Dutch liqueur too. I think it's like a creme de cacao kind of thing that comes in like a Delft blue thing. It was the thing that we would sneak little sips. It was one of the few things in the liquor cabinet. And then, I don't know, I tried to put milk in it to pretend I hadn't taken it. And it went off.
Sure.
Very off.
So is that what you're drinking?
No, yes. To be nostalgic, I'm drinking some sour milk. No, this is just iced coffee with a little bit of Bermuda Gold liqueur from my neighbor who was cleaning out her cabinet. I don't like to waste things.
Okay.
I don't like to waste things.
I was mostly right, except Bermuda Gold. Whoever could have guessed that?
You're 80%
I'd never even heard
right.
of it.
Yeah.
But I was 0% right because I thought maybe Frappuccino or Kahlua.
Well, there is coffee in it, so you're not wrong. Completely wrong.
All right, I'm like 8% right, but Jill's 80.
I'm 80.
I like it.
So we have 2 Canadians and 2 Americans on screen.
Yes.
And Astrid, you're joining us from Toronto.
I am in my bedroom in Leslieville in Toronto. Yes.
So how did that happen? Tell me about your quarantine journey back home.
I was actually taking one of my first vacations in a long time. I was in Bermuda. I was in Buenos Aires.
It's the Bermuda Gold.
Exactly. It's in Buenos Aires. They're doing a Spanish-speaking version of Come From Away, the first non-English version of Come From Away. And I had befriended the artistic director when they came to see our show on Broadway, not knowing it would lead to a beautiful, all expenses paid trip to Buenos Aires just because I took them out for a couple beers. They're just really lovely, lovely people. And so I met them and I said, what are you guys doing tonight? And they said, well, we don't know. I said, I'm taking you to a bar. Let's go have a couple drinks and hang out and talk about this beautiful show. And then they kept inviting me to Buenos Aires. And so I went. And while I was there, things really changed. Suddenly it was, everybody was kind of scared and nervous. And I got the last flight out of Buenos Aires.
Wow.
which was actually the flight I was scheduled to be on. Got to New York, packed my bags for 2 to 3 weeks, because at the time, that's what, I don't know what everybody else was knowing or thinking, if anybody had any inside scoop, but I thought we were going to be gone for a few weeks. So I have like 3 pairs of pants, some shorts, some t-shirts, my one nice shirt, and that's it.
And you're naked on the bottom.
Yes, absolutely.
Wow. And have you been keeping in touch with your company?
Yes, we have a Zoom that we do. We have 2 Zooms. I have a Zoom that we do with the whole cast every Sunday, and some ancillary people who come and go. And then we have one that our stage manager often puts together. Oh, look at that. Oh my God, I love those people. That's from Seattle, actually. That one's from Broadway. Yeah, we stay in touch, and we even had a drag Zoom.
We just had a drag Zoom too.
What is a drag Zoom? I want to do it.
We do a theme every week. We do a Zoom every week. Could you do a theme? I mean,
we don't do a theme every week, but we did do the drag, and it was quite fun. I cut my own hair, which is one of the weird things that I do and have done, not pre-quarantine. So I cut some of my hair when I got home and saved some of it and made a mustache and big furry eyebrows.
That's
and
fabulous.
It was quite fun. And Joel was full glam drag makeup, and it was quite delightful to see my friends being so, and it takes you away, right? For that little bit, you forget, and you're just silly with each other, and your bonds just take you through for an hour or so, and then you go back to it, life in quarantine.
I mean,
strange.
You've been doing. How long have you been doing Come From Away?
Off and on for almost 5 years.
Wow.
So yeah. Actually, one of the Belle Sur productions we did in Ottawa was between Seattle and Washington, I think, between doing it in Seattle and then doing it in Washington, D.C. So I got that chance to revisit that beautiful piece with all of you. So that was...
Yeah. Did you catch the pictures when we put them up just now?
Yeah.
I
miss her so much. That crazy bull in a china shop. Horrible, wonderful human being.
Yeah.
And that dress. I miss that dress.
And it feels like so long ago. And when I think about, it's just so wonderful to see your career and where it's taken you, and to be with you.
I've been very blessed. I've been very lucky.
Yeah.
I mean, I worked hard too. I mean, it wasn't all luck, but definitely the fit of Beulah. Don't you guys find that too? It's that wonderful thing when the fit of the character is just so right, and you're like, of course,
right.
Of course, I'm here now. But
it also takes the vision of the team, I think, too. A director who will see it and allow you to be you. The most you that you can be.
Absolutely, and sometimes you don't even realize how much of it is you. Until people are like, "Oh, you're like Beulah," and you're like, "But I'm at." No, you're right.
Okay,
it's just me on stage with an accent, basically.
I'm sure you're close with the real Beulah.
Yes, I adore her. Yes, both. Well, my character's kind of a composite of Beulah Cooper, who is still to this day very good friends with Hannah O'Rourke, who has also become a dear friend of mine, who had lost her son Kevin during 9/11. And Diane Davis, who's a school teacher, was a school teacher at Gander Academy, and kind of also all the school teachers, and how much they did, and they just think there's something everybody would do, and I would hope that that's true, but they're pretty darn special people, and I'm very grateful to have them in my life. I mean, that's the bonus. I love doing the show 8 shows a week, but I also have this incredible network of friends in one of my favorite provinces. Have you been to Newfoundland, Jill or Gordon?
No.
I want to because of the show.
I highly recommend going sometime. The weather is horrible in the winter, but if you can get there in like late August, September, it can be spectacular and magic, and it's beautiful as well. Gander, no offense to my Gander friends if they're watching, is perhaps not the most beautiful town, but the most beautiful people. And everything close to Gander, Twillingate, and anytime you get to the coast, or icebergs and whale watching, and just just the
So
scenery, all
dynamic,
of it.
so dramatic.
It's and
Wow.
I kind of like the weather. I was there. I did a show in St. John's in January, and it was suddenly one day there were just the cars were covered with snow, and I love it when the weather gets a little.
I like extremes.
Yeah,
very romantic.
That's sort of Montreal also, but I hear nothing but good things about Newfoundland from Michael Rubinoff and everybody on that team. It seems so beautiful. I've become a huge fan of Canada over the last couple of years from working at the Segal and in Toronto. It's just amazing, and now I know how much more there is to discover. And you know, we don't need to get into politics now either, but it becomes more and more attractive every day.
Yeah.
When I think of, you know, everything reopening, it's like Come From Away is gonna, I think, ignite Broadway again. You know, it's like you just I think of the finale, and I think of what that means, and it's like, you know there's those stories of 2 days after 9/11, the curtain rising again, that whenever like when this comes back, it will domino the rest. It's just going to mean so much. I don't know how you're going to get through the first show is basically what I'm saying.
I don't think we will get through the first show. We will, but it makes me think of when we did the concert version in Gander for the people of Newfoundland. Oh. So there we are in the world's largest walk-in refrigerator, the big ice rink there, and we all kind of say, oh, well, we're professionals. We've got this. And, you know, we're giving, you know, we're going to get to tell this story to these beautiful people. And we know our work. We'll sit in our work and we'll be fine. And somebody said, we should maybe have some Kleenex on us. And Lee's like, we don't need Kleenex. Well, we were pretty much from the downbeat. We were gone because they were on their feet and cheering and so excited that we were there. And how honored they felt to have their story told. I mean, if you know anything about Canada, sometimes Newfoundland has been perhaps not treated with the respect and love that it deserves. People have, you know, told jokes, sort of Newfoundland jokes about these incredible people. And of course, you can't generalize a whole people, but I mean, salt of the earth sounds cliche. Good-hearted people sounds cliche, but just these are the people who stop at the side of the road to make sure your car is charged up and bring lasagna to a memorial and clean up the dishes and hold your hand. And these are the people you want in your life. And so to get to do the story for them and to just, we all lost it. We were done. So we will not get through the first show.
Yeah.
It's going to be 8 hours long. It's going to be crazy.
It'll be special. So speaking of all of this love for Canada, I'm going to bring Alix out because Alix, while she lives and works in New York, lived in Winnipeg for a long time.
I love Winnipeg.
Where we met, and I'm sure this is maybe making her itch to be back in Canada. I don't know. We'll ask her how she's feeling.
Hi.
Hi, Alix.
Hi, everybody.
Hi. Alix Sobler, playwright.
I'm a New Yorker. I was born and raised in New York, so it's even more special that I lived in Winnipeg for 10 years because every little girl from New York grows up and dreams about moving to Winnipeg. It was funny when you were saying, Gordon, that you liked extremes. I was like, oh, he should visit Winnipeg. They got some theaters, and it gets really cold and really hot, so anyway, but I love Canada, and I was thinking you have 2 Americans and 2 Canadians, and then me, who's kind of like split right down the middle. I'm dual citizen, so this really worked out great for you, Lisa.
Yeah, and I want to just refresh our at-home audience watching that we did Alix's play, The Secret Annex, at the Segal Center, which was the What If Anne Frank story.
Wow.
And there's Sarah Farb, another Canadian actress who's on Broadway in Harry Potter. So look at that.
Yeah, she was remarkable.
She's brilliant.
That was
such
a special production. And then Alix's play, The Great Divide, won the Canadian Jewish playwriting competition. And then we did a reading of it at the Segal Center. And then it would have been this past Saturday. It's open.
Saturday night. It was supposed to open Saturday.
Oh, honey.
Yeah, I know. I mean, there were so many. I had so many. Of course, it's heartbreaking, and I was booked solid. I had readings, and I had production in the fall, and I had this production going up, but I had friends but it's been postponed, so it's supposed to open May 2021, and so we're hoping to get the cast back. We had some amazing. I don't know if I told you, but the actress who played Anne in Winnipeg, Tal Gottfried, was cast as the lead in the Toronto production of The Great Divide. So, and she was also marvelous, just like Sarah. Anyway, but I had so many friends who got to preview their show. Someone had written a play. You know how it is. You're saying you write a show for 7 years. I mean, you've experienced this, they showed it twice to 2 audiences, and that's it. It's done. It's canceled. And so all those performers and designers and that writer so my heart goes out to them. And I've been really lucky so far. Everything is considered rescheduled.
That's great.
So
That's
really good.
Yeah.
Yeah,
What
but
an incredible idea, The Secret Annex. Oh my gosh, I want to see that play.
Oh,
Yeah, me too.
Wow.
okay.
Is there a video? Can we see it?
I'll do it all for you tonight.
Okay. Yeah, fascinating.
It's so good. I always describe it. It's like everything you want for Anne, you get, but yet it has so much heart, and it goes into the issues of survivor trauma but it like protects her and makes her so human. And yeah, it was.
Yeah. I mean, it's interesting because I was just, we were supposed to do a workshop production of it, or a reading hoping to lead to production in LA in June, actually. And I've been talking to that producer, and we were sort of talking about maybe trying to figure it out as a podcast, like a radio play podcast. But it is sort of, I mean, and I think maybe we will, just because I would like to see the play live again. It had 2 productions, and it's been on a lot of short lists, but you know how it goes. But we'll see. I mean, it's an interesting. I think it might have a different resonance now that everyone's been sort of locked in an apartment for a long time.
Right.
Maybe people probably relate to the trauma even more. But it's been very interesting over the years, because there are a lot of stories that revisit Anne Frank, and some hypothesize what would it be like if she survived the war. But I have yet to come across another piece that hypothesizes that scenario, that also imagines that the book wouldn't be published. It's always like, the book is published, and how does she deal with that? Or we find out after the book is published that she's actually alive. But in my play, the book is never published. So, and I think people were very, I mean, it's done well. Audiences have liked it. Reviews have been great, but people are also very challenged by that idea. So she's very sacred to a lot of people, which she is to me too. So it's interesting to watch audiences come to terms with that idea.
Yeah. Well, speaking of apartments, Alix, I have to thank you. Every day there are certain people you look forward to what they're going to write on. I have 2. I have Jonathan Patterson, and to see what he's going to clean today. He's
John.
Super cleans of his house. It's insane. And then there's yours. So we even took some photos of it, because where did this idea come from? And do you realize that it's a thing? It's a thing. You taking photos with your coworker in the background.
So here's how this started. I've been that's our HR director. He's on my lap right now. Actually, you can't see him, but I've been with my husband, Jason. We've been together for 17 years, and he's a Winnipeg boy, born, and so that's why I lived in Winnipeg. And all of a sudden we were in the same space, trying to work 10 feet from each other and we haven't spent this much time together since we toured the Fringe circuit in the early on.
Brilliant.
And so one day I was like I was taking a selfie for some reason, probably just to see if I needed to tweeze my eyebrows. And I saw him in the background, and I thought, oh, this is funny, because it's like we're coworkers, but he's not noticing me at all. And so I shot that one picture being like, I have a crush on my new coworker. And so I started this series of how can I get this attention of my new coworker and the other and our other coworkers, and it's been a lot of fun. Although I keep having to top myself, and that's not easy. I mean, and you guys are creative. I'm trying to advance the narrative, like at some point he's going to notice me, but then it's game over, will they, won't they is over. So I've got to figure out a way for us. We're trying to figure out how we can run.
Oh, I love it though. It's sort of like Pam and Jim in the office, like you can sort of take a step forward and then take 2 steps back.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
But in the office with COVID around, so how do you court in the age of a pandemic?
Right.
I think you should start stealing your food from the fridge.
Yeah. My little Tupperware with my name on it. Yeah.
Yep.
Gordon,
why are you even going into the office? What office are you in?
Oh, so I mean, this is our apartment.
I know, but it kind of looks like WeWork, and I think I'd be a little alarmed. Call Cuomo. That's not allowed.
Well, yeah, it's true. That's a good point. But he also works. He was an actor and a writer when I met him, and now he is sort of on the other side, and he works admin for Broadway, actually. And it's very funny, / sad, because we had tickets to see Beetlejuice for March 12th. And we had been waiting. We were
we were already closed by then.
That was the night Broadway went dark.
The Thursday, yeah.
And so we were like, and so you got to come back because we were dying to see it. It's one of my favorite movies, and we'd heard such great things about the show. And
we're sending, we're putting it into the ether. We're sending love. We're sending positivity.
I've seen Come From Away, so which I adore. I saw Come From Away because I was in graduate school at the time. I saw your last dress rehearsal before you opened on Broadway.
Wow.
Which was really special. What an incredible experience, and being there with my husband who's Canadian and myself who's, part Canadian, just feeling that energy and that is such a special piece of writing. I mean, it's such a great piece of art. So anyway, I love it. But yeah, so the coworker thing, people are like, we want a coffee book when this is all over, a coffee table book, and we'll see if I can keep coming up with ideas. You didn't use the best one, Lisa, which is Casual Friday. You can follow me on Instagram. Casual Friday because it's good.
Okay.
Alix Sobler on Instagram.
It's like
I'm gonna do it now. I'm gonna follow you right now.
Okay.
It's crazy, but it's like these little things that make me happy. We just need. It's like this blip of joy.
Yeah.
in a day that's full of Zoom meetings.
I know.
To look at.
It's hard, and I find that I'm writing. I write mostly plays, but I'm starting to work on I'm writing a podcast right now, and I'm working on a couple of screenplays, and I've written some pilots and stuff. But I find theater to be the hardest thing to write right now because it's so reliant on something that feels so far away, and I feel like I'm afraid to hope for the next thing, and I had a play that was going to open in my first New York play was going to open in October.
Oh, wow.
And it's being postponed now, but they're going to do it, I think. But it's been postponed, and it's just sort of and that actually came as a relief because I was unable because it was hard for me to imagine working on it between now and then and my process is so reliant on actors in a room together. And so I just don't know that it's realistic that we're going to be able to get it all together even to be in a room together by September, to rehearse. So anyway, but I know I shouldn't say that, but I worked with Bob Metcalf, who was the artistic director at Prairie Theater Exchange for many years. And he always used to say to me, theater's the only art form that's been dying for 5,000 years. So tell me next time that it's not gonna, it'll come back. It always comes back. So I believe in it, and I think people are gonna need it more than ever once this is over.
Yeah,
of course. This is everything they've been saying for years about people fragmenting attention and people splitting and isolating. This is bringing it all, to a place where we're finding something positive in it. And the connection that I've experienced in isolation is oddly powerful. Just even the Seder we had for Thanksgiving, I was about to call it Thanksgiving, but for Passover was amazing. For the first time I got to be with my whole family in California and Florida, and I loved it. So I'm looking at that bright side, but I do think the light at the end of this tunnel is going to be sharing space, and it will hopefully viscerally remind everyone of what they're getting, because you're not always aware of what you're getting in a theater, that shared experience and breathing the same air, quite literally. It will happen. Remember,
so watching, TV now, which we're all doing a lot of, and everything is so resonant and vibrating with, oh my gosh, they're just holding hands. We can't, it's verboten now. So anything, oh gosh, they're hugging. And so in a way it does force you to really, stop and appreciate human connection, even the humans in the same room with you, as much as they may or may not be driving you crazy. Like just not taking any of that for granted. So hopefully we'll be at a place where we can reappreciate it, entrench ourselves. I hope so.
And your play, Pripyat is a bit about that too. You guys should see it. It's beautiful, about the animals that were left after the Chernobyl disaster.
Yeah. Oh, it's sort of a fable. It's a reimagining. It's based on a play called The Dogs of Pripyat. It was written by Leah Napolin, who wrote the original play Yentl, and together with her, Aaron Accurso and I adapted it into a musical. And it's about how the dogs who were abandoned really were studied, and scientists found that they had devolved and turned into pack animals and learned how to survive. And so she wrote this play thinking, well, what would my Jake do in this situation? And it's basically this one dog story of survival in unimaginable circumstances, and as such, a metaphor for all of us.
Yeah.
So we hope
to see that. That sounds fantastic.
I hope we have the opportunity to develop it further. I really do. Oh.
Yeah, I feel like absence makes the heart grow fonder too. And just in watching all of the theater art that's being created online has never made me miss theater more, has never made me appreciate it more. I was such a mess during that Sondheim thing.
So good.
I mean, it was just, I don't know. And I'm looking, at this group on stage and how much everyone here has to offer, and what the world is missing by theater being dark right now. And I know it's our time to do it, and this is what we need to do. But it just can't come back soon enough, in my opinion.
True.
Did everyone see the Saturday Night Seder?
I haven't. I have it on my list of things to go. I hear it's just fantastic.
I highly recommend it. I highly recommend it. It was very moving. I cried the entire time and laughed, and it's in the same way, very, very similar to the experience we had about the Sondheim. Take Me to the World. Yeah.
Well, Idina Menzel sings the Money Shtana. That
Yeah. And Sarah Silverman finds the Afikoman.
Of course.
and Mrs. Maisel was, I think, she wasn't one of the
oh yes, that's right, Rachel Brosnahan.
She was not a Jew.
Yeah,
I know. Jill is on Maisel.
Yeah, what you have to remind me though, because I did just watch the season.
Oh, I was on
video. They have the
video. Oh, they have video. They found video. I had a small recurring when they were in the Catskills. I was
Mr. Weissman, we have you in your usual cottage by the lake. If I could just get you to sign a couple of forms for me.
With blood or a pen?
Mr. Weissman, you should be on the stage. The pen will do.
Mrs. Maisel, anything I can help you with? No, Stevie, I'm fine, thanks. It's unusual to see a guest in the employee area. Well, I was out taking a walk and ran into one of your ace plumbers here, so I thought I'd tell her about a little issue with the cottage. Cut out the middleman.
Yeah, I'm taking care of it, Stevie. Have wonder will travel.
All right, well, any way I can help, please call. I will.
The costume, so great.
Oh man, that's so great.
The hair. I mean, that I just have to say, was like time travel. Being on that set, on location, that was the craziest, closest thing to time travel I can imagine. Because when you walked into holding, and when everyone was eating, it was actually at a place, like, why are the names escaping me right now?
It's right near French Woods, and it's for sale
Where
right
I
now.
went.
Steve Rose told me.
Yes. Okay. So
French Woods and Steve Thorne. You guys are gonna have to brawl it out.
But yeah, and in fact, it was shot at the place they originally wanted to shoot Dirty Dancing, apparently, and they said no. They said no because they didn't want to lose their summer business, and then sad. But anyway, it was a beautiful location, and so we shot on location in these bungalows in the giant eating halls. And so when you walked down into where everyone was eating, there were hundreds of people in period makeup, period costume, and you couldn't hear what they were saying over the din of the lunchroom. And I felt like I was walking into my own history. Like, it was crazy. Yeah, it was amazing.
Cool.
Or at least walking into the Capitol Rep production of Breaking Up Is Hard to Do, which was the Neil Sedaka musical starring Jill Abramovitz as a woman left at the Alta. Who sang Solitaire, and it ripped your heart out.
Oh, wow.
It was so much fun. So much fun.
Guys, it's almost 10:15, and I feel like we're just getting started, but we're not. And I don't know. I think we have to wrap it up.
Leave them wanting more.
Fun. What?
Leave them wanting more.
That's right.
Yeah.
Leave them wanting more, but you've said such special things and shared such great memories, and I only hope that we can come back and see all of your work. And Segal Center. Astrid, you're going to be on Broadway for a while.
I hope so, but I hope to be back at the Segal. I love Montreal. I love the stuff that you guys do there. It's some of the best times I've ever had was doing Belle Sur there. Absolutely.
And we love having you.
Those pictures are gorgeous. Gorgeous.
I'm going down and like researching all. I'm so excited to go and explore all of your work, Alix and Gordon and Jill. Seriously, this has been a treat.
I know, it's nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too. Hope
I'm a huge fan, Astrid.
I'm a fan of. Yeah, you guys are awesome.
Astrid, I just want to show you, leave us with one of my all-time favorite photos. This was a great moment for me on opening night of Come From Away. And there it is.
Oh, you look gorgeous, honey. You did. Oh my God. See my friend John behind you, behind my shoulder. Dear God. That's funny.
Great photo.
But that was such a special memory. And I've had such special memories with all of you and Jill, just backstage at Beetlejuice just before you closed. That was like
really recent. Yeah.
And so to be continued for all of you, for all of us, and I hope we can reunite soon.
Yes, please.
Thank you,
Lisa.
Thank you for spending the time with us. Take care.
Thanks, guys.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.